You know, this is the centerpiece, the two on each side kind of winging the centerpiece, and then a row of more of the sun bromeliads. All right, so hello gardeners. Today we are back for a plant of the week. Today is going to be the bromeliads. So we have a few different varieties. Of course, you know my favorite is Imperialis. I absolutely am in love with their cool look. That's what I have right at my front entranceway to my backyard pond area. I love this variegation in leaf. I love that little purple tinge, purple edging to that green leaf. I just think it's absolutely stunning. I also like on this particular bromeliad that it does not produce pups, so it is a one and done. I'm not pulling out babies around it or, you know, kind of really fussing with it. It is a stationary plant. It doesn't overgrow its area. It's large enough to make an impact, but not too large to overgrow a space. So I'm very, very happy with this plant overall. I use it in a lot of my landscapes. I think it creates just kind of a soft bit of tropical fun. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about its pros and about its cons, so that way you guys can determine if it's going to fit into your garden. So overall, the Imperialis Bromeliad is a long to life bromeliad. It does shoot up a flower when it's done and reached its maturity, and at that point it does kind of die off. Now at that point you will receive a pup or two, and you can kind of start it into a little pot and kind of start over again, but not until that point. So it doesn't kind of overpopulate until it's ready to move on, which is kind of cool. A lot of people get concerned about those because their cups is where they hold their water. So when you water these guys, you water them from the top. They hold that water in these individual leaves, which we call the cups, and that's where they receive their nutrients. If that area stays pretty stagnant, because obviously water needs to move, and in bromeliads it will not move. So about every 2 weeks I'll come through here if we don't get a good rain, which rarely happens in Florida. So most of the time it does. Mother Nature does this for her bromeliads, but when she's, you know, busy, I will do it for her. And so I will take my hose and I will water out the cups of the bromeliads. Now I'll show you one that really, really needs it done, so that way you guys can see what that looks like. So we've got one here, and you can really see on the inside of these cups where that water's held that it's been in there for weeks. So all I do is I take my hose and I stand back a little bit because I don't want that gook on me. But I'll stand back a little bit and I'll just circle the bromeliad with my hose. That'll leach out through the leaves of the plant and then just dissipate down the plant, and then you know, do a natural fertilizer for the plant. So what you don't want to do is allow that to collect, because, you know, bugs and whatnot will get in there and mosquitoes will get in there. So you kind of want to keep that where it's moving water. A week or so, if it stays in there and we don't get rain, you'll want to wash those out. So I don't have any trouble with mosquitoes. I don't have any screens on my back patio area. We'll get an occasional, you know, dry spell, and they'll be kind of more prevalent, but overall, you know, I'm in a fairly good area for that. So if mosquitoes, like, you know, pretty much kind of take on your backyard, you may want to prevent having bromeliads from that area. But I appreciate them. I love the way they look. I think they're a fantastic feature to have within a garden. They really offer a lot of tropical impact for such a small plant. Now I will show you some of the ones that do provide pups. These guys are fabulous. I absolutely love all the Neos. These are called Sexy Pink, and I love their variation in color, but they will provide a little pup when they're done with their life cycle. Now it might be a little hard to see over here, Bryce. This is another Neo. You kind of see how the mother plant has died, and then you got a new plant that's come in. And so all you do is you just cut that old plant out, giving the new plant time to really take over that space. It just pops out just like so. Now we've got the new guy in its spot, and voila, you have a new plant to work with, and it's absolutely happy. I mean, I pretty much love plants that, you know, spend their time in your garden, and then, you know, when it's time for them to go, they'll leave you a parting gift, and I just think that's pretty cool. As far as fertilizing, they don't need a lot of fertilizer because, you know, they will catch the occasional bug or two, and that'll really offer a little bit of crude fertilization for them. But I do use Miracle-Gro. I don't use a lot of it, but I use it for the rest of my garden. I'll kind of show you what I use. It's kind of a shameful thing over here. So I'm always out in my garden, so this is still connected from last night. But I just kind of have this plugged in. I have this Miracle-Gro that goes in the back here, and then I hit all my plants with this, just kind of in between fertilizers, just to give them a little bit of love when I'm thinking about it. And I happened to be out here last night, so I was using it here. So all I do is I do the same thing with my bougainvillea. I turn it on to feed, and then I just kind of give them a little bit in the cups. Now you don't want to over fertilize your bougainvillea, so when I do it, I don't have my hose on or else I'd show you, but it's just like a little squirt, voila, you're done. It's a little bit in the cup and you're done. You don't want to over fertilize this. Now if this were a blooming plant that I'm fertilizing, like those Brazilian red cloaks that we see to the back, then I want to kind of stay there for 3 or 4 minutes and really douse those guys with this nutrient fertilizer. So what I like about Miracle-Gro is it's diluted, so you're not getting a bunch of heavy fertilize. You're never going to burn your plants or trees with this guy. So I will be sure to link what I use down below in the description, so that way if you guys are interested in using this product, it's ideal. I just kind of take it on and screw it onto different hoses throughout the garden and just kind of work it through my garden. I mainly use granular fertilizer 3 to 4 times a year, but in between those times when I want everything to really shine, I'll hit this when I think about it, when I'm out in the garden and I'm willing to get sweat. Now lastly, bougainvilleas do need to be trimmed, not very often, but they do need an overall trimming. So what I'll do is I'll go through and, you know, like for instance on this guy, you can do it 2 different ways. This guy is still so small and so young that I can use my Felcos and just trim off that limb. You just want to make sure that you get as close to the main part of the plant as you can get, and then go ahead and just take this off. You can also, I can use my knife and take this little sharp edge and just slice off the bottom. I would just hold this down and slice it there. But it just really depends on the type of size of the bougainvillea that you have to work with. Overall, that's what I love about bougainvilleas. I think this video might be 3 or 4 minutes long because there's really not a lot of work to do with them. You do have sun varieties, you do have shade varieties, so you kind of want to make sure that you look out for both. What I love about the Imperialis is they can take all morning sun, all midday sun, and then once you get to the evening hours, you need something to have some protection. So by the evening hours, my house pretty much gives these bromeliads the blockage they need. If these were in a environment on the east side of the house and they didn't get that protection, these would really struggle. However, they can handle being planted in rock, which is fabulous because their nutrients derive mainly from the cups, not from down below. So if you've got a rock garden and you need to dice it up with some interesting colors, some interesting features, these are a fantastic little intermediate accent to really pop out of a garden. They really don't need anything else but rocks in a garden and to be stunning. So when you're working with planting those and you have the smaller ones mixed with the bigger ones, then you can take those small neos that we just saw and you can group them together and just kind of stagger them. So you have one here, 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 and just kind of stagger them in a nice formation and group a cluster of them together. And oh my goodness, they are absolutely stunning. So, so just kind of pay attention to the tags. The Imperialis, the silver Odoratas, those can handle full sun. The red hots, full sun. The marguerites, you're kind of getting on a you know, this type of space where they can handle full sun to early afternoon, and then they really do need that shade protection. And then most of the rest of the neos, the sexy pinks that we just saw, really need to be under shade canopy. They do their very, very best. So one other thing I really love about them is their ability to be placed in pots. So if you're looking for something for your pool planters, they're an ideal thing because they can handle that heat from the pool planter and not burn up. And then you don't have to worry about watering them when you're away for a week. You know, you can just douse them with a little bit of water every week, week and a half, and they're perfectly fine. I have them in my planters here, and I'll show you an example of what I mean. Because they derive energy from their cups, they kind of hold water on their own. This is not a great example. These guys just came off of my fireplace area. We're doing some remodeling if you haven't seen from the previous videos. So they're kind of in a temporary spot over here, but I'm getting ready to do some overall trimming and cleaning them up here. And these guys can handle full sun. These are red hot bromeliads, and then in the middle here we have marguerites. And these guys, you can see that they have a little bit more burn to them. Now they're not in their proper environment because they are in a temporary spot, but overall they do super, super well. They're also epiphytes where they can actually live and grow on trees or boulders, because in their natural habitat, they can actually attach to a tree and climb. I have a big cluster of them on some driftwood right by my front waterfall, and we'll walk over there and I'll show it to you. Actually, on our way to the front, we'll mention this little cluster in here. Now, this is a cluster of bromeliads. This is a good sunspot. My lime tree soaks up the sun, so does this plant collection. This was an old oak tree that got damaged in a storm years and years ago. The stump started to rot. I had no idea what to do with it. So I did put a big planter on top of it. So we have a planter on top of it. I put bromeliads around a broken fountainhead of a Buddha that I found. I'm not sure if you're supposed to keep those and reuse them, but I cannot, waste not, want not. So I put it right here. And then I encircled it with more bromeliads because I just love the way it looked. These are those silver odoratas that I mentioned. These guys do not reproduce new bromeliads. These are single individual and grow to about 3.5 foot. So you really get a nice dose of color. And if you're standing kind of like where I'm standing, looking into the garden, coming into the backyard, you'll be able to see kind of the purpose that I had for the area, where we have, this is the centerpiece, the two on each side kind of winging the centerpiece, and then a row of more of the sun bromeliads, because I know this back area gets a little bit more protection from the back scenery plantings here, and this front gets more sun. So another thing about microclimates, we have a little more protection back here, and then up in the front we have a little bit more sun, so we have the sun bromeliads here. But the plants to the back, the bromeliads to the back are set into that old stump. So they're actually growing on the stump, in the stump, and doing super, super well. And so you can pretty much, if you have a tree stump, an old tree stump like I do, and you kind of get tired of looking at it, kind of just divot a little hole into it, and then those roots will grab hold and sit into that stump. So, and then it'll kind of take over. Especially if you have the little ground bromeliads, they'll kind of creep all the way over like they do in pots. Isn't nature just amazing? And we'll kind of see how that works on the driftwood that we're going to take a look at now. Okay, so here's a quick glimpse of this clustering, just kind of sitting right on top of some driftwood and my little creepy Halloween decoration here. But these guys get full sun, so you can see that they've kind of had some rays and some browning from the full sun. We've had a really hot summer this year, so they're getting that. But they have multiplied all the way around it. This started as 3 of these little plants, 1 gallons, and then 2 of these guys, and they have completely multiplied and completely engulfed this little area. That's what I love about bromeliads, is that you can really start with just a handful of them and then find the perfect spot for them, and they will just kind of take over that spot. They'll give that little area a tropical feel. And all that was here was some boulders. We have plenty of boulders within this pond, so I kind of wanted to break it up a little bit, and these guys did it for me. So they're the perfect addition to, I think, any garden. So I hope this guys helps, and if you have any other questions about bromeliads that I might be able to share with you, then please be sure to put it in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in the very next video. Please like and subscribe. That will let me know if these are kind of the helpful tips that you guys look for in your gardening videos. So I will see you very soon. Take care. See you in the next video.